one more page to add, which is the contact page. For now, we're not going to add the form. We're just going to add some text, and we'll come back a little bit later and add this in. We just want to send it to Aria, get her approval first of all. So let's just add this in. So contact page, same technique as what we did before. We're going to add on our index.html. We're going to take our header. We're going to move it into our contact. We're going to get rid of that. And the same thing with our footer. We're going to take this. We're going to copy and paste this in. There we go. And the same thing as what we want from before. We're going to add a section tag in here, and this is going to have a div with the class of contact, or maybe not contact, maybe form, maybe something like that. Eventually, this section is going to have a class of contact itself, or even contact form, for instance. And then in here, we're going to have a h1 with what we're going to put, which is contact me, and I'll get back to you within 1 business day. There we go. So maybe I want to kind of put something in here that isn't just like related to a form which doesn't exist. Maybe contact me on my email, and I'll try and get back to you within 1 business day. So if we look at it right now, again, if I go to contact, what we should see is this is all in one line. Again, it's trying to squeeze it onto 1 grid column. I want it to be 3 by 6. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4th across and span 6. So this is what we're going to do next. We're going to say this is the contact, and then for the form, we want it to go across that. So last thing we're going to do for now is we're going to do section for contact. We're going to div.form, and this is going to be the grid column. We're going to start at 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then span across 6. So what we should see just very quickly is something that looks like this. Get me on my email, and I'll try to get back to you within 1 business day. Now, there's one extra thing that I want to add in before we actually send this over to the client, which is how do we tell the difference between these? Well, what we can do here is the same thing as what we have with our hover state, but I want to select one thing per page. On the portfolio page, I want this to be highlighted. On the about page, I want this to be highlighted. And on this, I want it to be highlighted as well. So what we're going to do just to finish this off is add a selected state. So selected state isn't a thing that exists. A hover state does. We can hover things in the browser. What I'm going to do in my index.html is scroll up to my navigation, and I'm going to add on my first link a class of selected. So this is the one that I always want selected. But on about.html, I'm going to go up and not have it here, but have it on my about, my class selected. And on contact, unsurprisingly, I'm going to do it on the last link, class is selected. Now, selected doesn't mean anything. It could be called active. It could be called the thing that we want right now, all as one word. It doesn't really matter. So at the moment, nothing changes. But what we can do in our style sheet is say, if any of these navigations have an A with the class of selected, it should be pink. So I'm going to keep this together. I'm going to scroll up to where we've got a.hover. I want this to be the hover state, but also, comma, if a dot selected. So notice the difference here. One is the browser state, a:hover, so any link in the state of being hovered. And then the last one is just a class. It's a label that we've decided to put on this. But what this will do now is we go back to the page, this one's highlighted all the time. This one will highlight when we hover. If I click about, that one's hovered as well. This portfolio is done as well. So we've now got all 3 pages set up just like we wanted to do in Figma.